Welcome students to another day in the food lab. Today we're going to be doing a recipe called confetti dip, and then we're going to cut up some fresh vegetables to go with it. The reason behind us doing this particular lab is because these vegetables are remarkably stocked full of wonderful nutrients. I know there are some of you who are a little hesitant about vegetables because they're not super sweet or they're not deep fat fried or they're don't have a ton of salt to them, but that's okay. Sometimes in your life you are gonna find that your taste buds have changed. And if you love vegetables, you are already a notch or two above a bunch of people that are your age. If you're one of those people who haven't had opportunity to have fresh vegetables very much, work with it. Because my friends, there's hardly anything better in the whole entire world, and I'm speaking very generally, but hardly anything better in the whole entire world, more nutrient dense in some nutrients than fresh vegetables. And that's what this particular recipe is about. Previous to this demonstration, this recording, I have done a few things. The first thing I've done is I have washed my hands, and I am going to be wearing some gloves because this is a ready-made food. There's no cooking involved with it. I've also gone ahead and collected all of my equipment. I've read through the recipe and pulled up the equipment that I need, and I've also pulled out all of my ingredients. I have as well taken my fresh fruits and vegetables that are here in my colander and washed them off and have them ready at my counter or at my fingertips. So since I have everything ready, I'm good to go. So I'll place my recipe to the side and let's begin. Step number one is to take and to wash all of these vegetables. Students here at school, if there are any vegetables that are pre-cut for you, they will already have been washed. It's just the whole vegetables that you're going to have to worry about. Step number two is to beat the cream cheese with a wooden spoon in a small mixing bowl. Here's my small mixing bowl, my wooden spoon, and here's my cream cheese. Now I happen to know, I just pulled this out of the refrigerator, that this cream cheese has not been softened. In order to soften it, it needs to sit at room temperature for probably 2-ish hours, I would say. I can check to see if it's soft by taking a regular spoon and pressing in it. And if it resists me at all, if it doesn't feel like, almost like the consistency of mayonnaise, I would say it's that soft, then you need to soften it. Now you could wait until it softens at room temperature, or you can cheat just a little bit. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my cream cheese and I'm just going to put it in the microwave. I'm going to check it every 5 seconds. And when it gets to the point where I can take and touch that with the back of a wooden spoon, I know that it's going to be soft enough. So I'll grab my wooden spoon, my regular spoon, and just go stand by the microwave, and every 5 seconds I'm going to take and check it. The first time, I'm going to just come up here, and it's still a little bit hard. I'm going to do it again. I don't want to overdo it. I want to be right on it as soon as it becomes softened. Check it here. Again, I'm going to just take my spoon and I'm going to press into it. It's starting to get softer, but it's still firm in the middle. I'm going to do it again. Just every 5 seconds, just keep checking it until you feel it's nice and soft. Again, this is now at 15 seconds. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, it's getting nice and soft. Oh, the outside edges are nice and soft. I bet for another 5 seconds and then we're good to go. So another 5 seconds. And we are good. I will make a stab and guess at that. So I'll take this, I'll just press into that. You can see that's all nice and soft. Okay, so I did it for a total of 20 seconds. You might want to make note of that, especially those of you here at school, because you might end up with the exact same temperature as this is. I'll take my cream cheese now, and I want to get it out of this small bowl because I'll be adding a bunch of different ingredients to it. and scrape this nice and clean. I'm going to use my flexible spatula to scrape out any excess, which is kind of obvious there was, and get that into my bowl. And it says that I'm going to just beat this. Now the purpose of that is to make sure that it's going to be nice and soft all the way through. I don't have any chunky lumpies of anything. Doesn't that look pretty? Almost makes you want to take a finger to it. We're going to not have straight cream cheese though. That's a little bit rich. We're going to go ahead and flavor this up. It's going to be the base for this dip. And again, I'm just going to beat this until everything's nice and smooth. And I can see that I got a little bit of lumps in here still, so I'm just going to keep beating it until it becomes nice and smooth, almost like icing. It looks like frosting, doesn't it? Yep, nice and smooth. Okay, once that is done, we're going to add some sour cream. The sour cream that I'm choosing to put in here, if you can see that, is a light sour cream, which means that they've made it with a lower fat milk, which makes it a little bit more healthy than if you were to use a full fat cream cheese. Cream cheese, some people might think, is a member of the dairy group, but it is not, because it doesn't have enough of the good stuff in there to compensate for the amount of calories. This is a pack method, which means that we're going to take our measuring cup, and head chefs, you will do this here at school. Measure that out, and then with the straight edge of that flexible spatula, oops, I got a little spot. Straight edge of that metal or flexible spatula, I can level that off. I'm scraping the excess back into my container, and then I'm going to use the same flexible spatula to go ahead and scrape it out of that dry measuring cup. Okay, after you have that done, we'll go ahead and beat this together. Don't get too excited too fast. You might have a face full of sour cream coming at you. All right, we'll go ahead and mix that up. Again, combining that till it all becomes even throughout. I don't want to see any lighter streaks. I don't know what the light is like with the taping, but I don't want to see any lighter streaks of the sour cream. I want to have that all mixed in there together. It's going to be the base for our dip right there. Now we're going to go ahead and add in some other ingredients. The first one is dry mustard. Maybe you didn't know this, but dry mustard is the way that we initially get it before it's made up into that liquid. And I need to be putting in 1/2 of a teaspoon. Students at school, this will be pre-measured for you. You can see it's kind of a yellowy color, maybe not quite as bright as the kind that we put, the liquidy kind that we put on our hot dogs. Things like vinegar and maybe some salt has been added in with this to make that squirt mustard. But this is the one that's made right from a mustard seed. This is a very, very small seed that's ground up, and it has a flavor. Okay, a little bit of dry mustard. We're going to put in a little bit of salt. And the salt, of course, is going to increase flavors. I'm going to pour this into my 1/2 teaspoon measuring spoon over a dirty bowl perchance. But I don't want to do it over my mixture here because I don't want to get too much salt in. And then lastly, I'm going to be putting in a little bit of pepper. And the pepper is 1/4 of a teaspoon. And again, you can use a pepper shaker, but since we have these here at school, let's go ahead and use them. Use that straight edge, come on in here, level that off. Whoops, didn't quite get it full, there we go. Level that off, and there's my 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Then it says we're gonna go ahead and mix this well, but that still is not the end of our dip. We're going to really kick this up a bit as we start adding in some fresh vegetables. The first one that we're going to be adding in is some green pepper. So the green pepper is probably the one that has the strongest flavor, and I'm going to have about 1/4 of a green pepper in here. I'm going to take, and there's 2 ways. I can either cut around the stem like such, or I'm kind of a lazy one. I just cut off the top, and I'm going to toss this in my garbage can. Sorry, I've got one right here handy. And I need to take and get rid of the seeds. And the seeds come all together bunched up at the top. I'm going to pull that out, and you in your kitchens are going to end up with maybe something that's like this, but you're going to want to remove this membrane as well. And if you have any funny little funky things going on at the bottom, which I do right here, I'm gonna just take and chop that off. I don't want it. Any seeds, can you see I've got a seed right there? I wanna go ahead and remove that. And then my instructions tell me that I'm gonna dice this. Mince is teeny, teeny, tiny. Chop is about 1/4 of an inch. Dice is pretty darn small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and cut these first off. I'm going to try to pull my gloves so they're a little bit tighter on my fingers. Remember the claw, remember your thumb and your index finger, your pointer finger is going to go over the top of that. And then I'm going to cut these into just really skinny, skinny pieces. As skinny as I can possibly do them, almost. Not quite, but pretty close. I don't want to have a big mouthful of green pepper. Some people maybe say, oh, I love green pepper, that's cool. But that's not what we're going for here. We're going for little teeny tiny squares, not like applesauce tiny, like chop that little, but pretty darn close, this side of that. Okay, and after I've got these all in really, really thin pieces, then I'm gonna take these and line them all up together. If you wanna do this in 2 groups, you can. I'm gonna line these all up together, and then I'm gonna use my French knife, and I'm just gonna take and go across the ways. Now these are tiny, 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 tiny. Notice again, I have the claw in my left hand. I don't wanna have my fingers sticking out. And if you can roll, instead of just going straight down, if you can roll with it, you're gonna find that you get through your vegetables a little bit better. I'm gonna do this, just little teeny tiny pieces is what I want. Until you get all the way through all of those peppers. If this starts to get a little cumbersome here at the very end, maybe you want to take and again break it up into a smaller section. But you don't want to take and cut your fingertips off. And well, be careful not to cut off the tips of your gloves either. No one wants to eat your gloves. That would be sad, huh? Go ahead and cut that all the way down until these are all in just little itsy bitsy pieces. If you were to take a look at them, let me just finish up right here. I'm just again kind of rolling. Can you see me how I slide it forward? So if we were to take, well, let's see if we can just use the side of this blade. All right, there's some little teeny tiny pieces right there on that blade. That's what I'm looking for. And it tells me that I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the mixture. You're gonna wanna have one of your people maybe doing the green peppers. Then you're gonna have another person going ahead and doing the same thing to the tomatoes. And we're gonna pick up that the dip, and it's gonna become more healthy as we put these fresh vegetables in it. The next thing is a little bit of a tomato. This tomato we got just kind of a small one. I might be giving you a little bit more than what they say. It says that you need 1/4 of a tomato. I don't want this stem in, so I'm going to use my paring knife. I'm just going to cut around the top of this, and then I'm going to slice this. I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to slice it this way so that it's easy to work with. And I'm going to, again, cut these into fairly small pieces, fairly skinny. And I'm going to flip to this other side and cut uphill. I don't like to cut downhill into my fingers. Start to get a little scared, a little thin, and go ahead and rearrange your furniture, rearrange your fingers without having to cut them off. I'm going to cut these in one direction, kind of like if you were to have a French fry made out of a tomato. I'm cutting them all one direction because then I can just take and work with my cutting board and go the other direction. Again, just kind of rolling that along, small pieces. This can be very beautiful color-wise. Lots of color going into this. And then I'm going to slice this opposite direction. Again, I'm taking and gliding that forward. I'm not just a straight up and down chop. All right, after we've got that tomato all the way chopped up into dice size, I'm gonna go ahead and can use that, slide this, never slide your finger along the blade. You could pick up your cutting board as well, and we're gonna pop this in here, and again, we're going to add this to the mixture. The last thing that we've got going on here is we've got a little bit of a green onion. The other day you worked with a green onion, and we're going to go through the same procedure. Anything that seems a little bit, this is like a little bit discolored. Can you see that? It kind of is dried out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just chop that baby off. I don't want it. I don't like to have old ends on any of my produce. I don't want to have this little guy right here. No one wants to eat the root end. If there's something funky, like that was kind of funky, it came right off, get rid of anything unsightly. And then these are cut just into the skinniest, smallest little pieces. Again, I'm gliding. Can you see me glide that? Kind of like a wave coming in on the beach. It's going to be a little bit rolling forward. And these are skinny, skinny, skinny slices. Can you tell how skinny they are? Just skinny, 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 and nobody wants a big chunk of that. All right, we're gonna go all the way down our green onion. I can just move my green onion along. That's bugging me. As we get down to the very end. We there yet, Mom? Yep, we're getting there. And then we're gonna go ahead and pop those in. All right, again, I'm pushing away from that blade. Okay, then we're gonna take this. It looks like confetti. You know what confetti is? Like you throw it up at a party. It comes down to the ground, all those little teeny tiny pieces. That's the color that we're getting. Now our instructions at this point tell us that we're going to divide them into the bottom of a clear plastic cup. And we're going to have this all-in-one dip and vegetables. So this is the size of plastic cup that I'm working with. And I'm just going to put out the 4 or 5, however many are in your group. And I think probably the best thing to do is to work with one of your serving spoons, I think. And just take a scoop of the dip and then shoot for the very center of that cup. I don't want you to slime the sides. That is not very professional looking. You want to just get it right, aim for the center. Can you see how I'm just aiming for the center? And then I'm just going to use my other spoon to scrape it off. Try not to touch. If it touches a little, that's okay, but I don't want to see a big glop of it running down the side. All right, go back and find the one that's maybe the smallest. Use your last little bit, and then we're going to place these to the side for a second. All right, we're done with this. Looks like I missed a touch. We're done with this. Before you put that into your sink, you're going to scrape that clean. Put the excess in the garbage can. Maybe use your flexible spatula, or you can also take and use a paper towel to wipe that out. This is going to make your sink water really dirty, so you always scrape things down, remember, before you put them in. All right, now we're ready to do our vegetables. The veggies that we got first off, let's go with our carrot. You're gonna peel your carrot. I want you to do it over a cutting board. I don't want you to go over to the garbage can, and I want you to get in the habit of peeling away from you. If you peel towards you, that's when those accidents happen with the peeler. It is a double-edged knife, and it'll remove your flesh just as easily as it will take and remove the peeling from our carrot. I'm going to take this now, this cutting board, and I'm going to put this in my garbage bag, peel from my carrot in the garbage can. And then my instructions are very clear in saying to cut these into 4-inch long pieces. So how long is 4 inches? I think you got a built-in ruler. It's about the length of your pointer finger. Now, I don't want you lining up things and cutting it, like that, but it's going to be a guideline. You want the vegetables longer than this little cup is tall. So I will take and cut off both the tip and the end of my carrot, and then I'm going to just eyeball approximately 4 inches, and I'm going to cut that. Then I can use that one as a guide for my next one. All right, then we're going to go ahead and cut your carrot. Now these are roly-poly, and this is where a dull knife is dangerous. So make sure your knife is sharp. It's not just immediately going into the vegetable. really pretty easily, then you probably ought to stop and sharpen it. Place the tip down on the cutting board. You're not going to be able to see this. And then line into or lay your blade into that carrot and hold carefully. Don't let it take and roll. Take one cut. Then I want you to put flat side down, and this becomes easy. And I would cut depending on how big the pieces, maybe 2, maybe 4 or 5 pieces. And then we're going to take these and just pop them right in here. All right? You are going to divide these evenly between all 4 or 5 or however many you've got of the people in your group. I'll place these to the side. You would do the exact same thing. Again, let's just do this one more time. I want the tip anchored on the cutting board. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up to the very center, and then with my fingers out of the way, open it up, lay it down, and then, of course, again, I'm going to just think about doing some fairly thin carrot sticks. I don't want anything super big. We're just going to have that be a nice little cut all the way down. They're what? Maybe about 1/4 of an inch thick. You see how thick they are compared to my finger? Kind of thin. All right? And I would put these in my other little cups. Another thing that we have to go in here is some celery. The celery, of course, you're going to wash this off. I don't like these ends. All dirt should be removed. Again, think about how long 4 inches is. It's about right there. And I got even just a touch longer. I'm all about uniform size. So I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to take these and I'm going to cut them maybe in halves. Maybe I'm even going to cut them into thirds. And you're probably going to get more than one piece of celery because the celery might be really small. Again, divide it between the group, between all of your little cups. I'm not going to take the time to do that. And I would be dividing them evenly as I go through all of this. And one person do carrots, one person do celery, one person does the pepper. Red peppers, orange peppers, ooh, those are probably my very favorite, or a yellow pepper. You'll again end up with a half of one, and I'm a little bit of a lazy person, so I cut this way. This is totally wonderful to eat. Go ahead and cut that in half. This is kind of a short, squatty pepper. I'm going to remove the seeds. If you end up with this in yours, know that you're going to remove that. We're going to get rid of all of the membrane and all of the seeds. There are some people who choose to put this underneath the sink if you have a disposal to wash off those seeds, and that would be okay. And then you're going to take your pepper, and I'm going to cut these into about 1/4 inch strips. And I go through all of these. I'm keeping them just the whole length of the pepper. I would take these then. Boy, that almost looks like an orange pepper, doesn't it? Stick those in there. I wish they were more red. Oops, throwing peppers. Sticking those in there. All right, dividing them between all of them in your group. And the last one that you're going to get is a cucumber. And you're going to end up with a half a cucumber. And I would suggest that I'm just going to cut off the ends, but I'm looking again for that 4-inch slice. On your cucumber, I would like you to cut it in half lengthwise, cut it in quarters. All right, we are going to leave on the green on the skin, full of fiber. I think I would recommend you slicing this down and removing the really seedy part. And that's because it's just going to fall apart inside of your dip. And then we'll have these kind of like fry-like pieces with the cucumber. All right? That, my dear friends, is what you're looking at. And let me hold this sideways. Hopefully you can't see it. It ends up being kind of a fun looking like vegetables have come to a party because they're all kind of standing up in there. And then it's a built-in kind of place for you to lick up and yum, yum, yum. I can't withstand it. Delicious. I hope you enjoy as we make confetti dip with vegetables. a nutritious snack choice. See you later. Bye-bye.